Hey guys, this is JB, your school nurse, and I am here again to teach you about first aid bandaging techniques. So bandages have three key uses. First is to apply pressure into bleeding wounds, second is to cover wounds or burns, and third to provide support or to immobilize a broken bone, a sprain, or a strain. Parts of the triangular bandage. First, we have the apex, then the ends or tails, and lastly we have the base. Phases of a triangular bandage. First is open face. So the open face is usually used when there's an injury to the head, face, or chest. Second, the cravat face, which can be classified down to broad and narrow cravat, and is used when there is an injury or wound to the shoulder, arms, legs, or foot. In tying the bandages together, we'll be using the square knot, which is easy to use and is faster to remove. Just follow the right over left and left over right rule. In this first bandaging technique, consider an injury at the top of the head. First step is we're going to fold the base into three, then place the folded part slightly above the eyebrow with the apex pointing at the back of the head. Second step, grab the ends and cross them together, meeting at the forehead, and perform the square knot. Make sure that the bandage is not too tight, it might squeeze the head. And lastly, the hanging part of the apex will be folded and tucked at the folded part at the back. In this second technique, the arm sling, we're also going to use the open face. So first, fold again the base into three, then place it on the affected side with the apex facing the outer side. Second, grab the upper end of the bandage and place it on the other side while placing the lower end at the affected side. Third, tie the two ends or tails using a square knot, making sure that the arm is immobilized and is not too low. And lastly, you can make a small knot with the apex and hide the excess bandage inside the sling. This third technique also uses the open face, in which we'll start by folding the base of the bandage into 2 or 3. Second, place the bandage on the affected side with the apex on top. Third, then tie the two ends of the bandage at the back, leaving the tail on the affected side longer so that we can tie it to the apex later on. Fourth, After making the square knot, make another knot with a longer tail and the apex. Make sure that the side injured is fully covered. With this fourth technique, we are going to use the narrow cravat. First step is to cover the injury with the tails of the cravat rolling off towards the opposite side of the elbow. Then after, cross the ends of the cravat and make a square knot at the back of the arm to pull the weight of the elbow. This fifth technique is used if there are lacerations on the hand or palm. So first, the narrow cravat is placed in the palm with both of ends or tails hanging equally. Second, grab the right tail and apply the bandage on the palm going back to its original place. Third, grab the left tail and roll it up passing the outer side of the thumb near the wrist and roll it back again passing the inner side of the thumb and make sure not to include the other tail. Fourth, grab the right tail and roll up midway between the wrist and the palm and make a square knot at the back of the wrist. This next technique is used if there's an injury to the leg. So first, place the center of the cravat over the dressing. Then grab the other tail and make ascending turns covering 2/3 of the preceding turn until dressing is covered. And lastly, end by tying the tails together making a square knot. This next technique is used if the ankles are sprained. First step is to make the cravat then lay it off on top of the foot. Second is to cross the two ends underneath the foot and pull it making sure that the foot is on dorsiflex position. Third is to cross the two ends slightly above the ankles and cross them again in front. Fourth, then slide each tails over the sides between the foot and the ankle and tie. So this technique is similar from the one earlier. So we have the shoe on here. Put the cravat under the foot and start from there. Pull the cravat and cross them together slightly above the ankle. Cross them again at the front, then slide each ends at each sides and make a square knot. So those are some of the major bandaging techniques used in first aid. They are very easy to learn and you can also save someone's life by knowing the basics. So that's all for this episode. See you!